back to fall routines flooding your newsfeed, and New Year's resolutions glow ups in the distance. You are being swarmed by healthy habits, including from yours truly. So I thought it'd be fun to go over some healthy habits I actually had to quit to get results, including things everyone's doing, like Pilates and protein. Let's go. Habit number 1, morning sunlight. Yep, it is probably the healthy habit to come out of the last 5 years. I would hear, wake up, morning sunlight sets your circadian rhythm. Watch the sunset at night, helps with your sleep, energy, mood. We're all getting morning sunlight. Guess what I'm also getting? Severe eye pain. A long story as short as possible, suddenly about a year ago, I started getting really bad red eyes. I thought I had eye infections. I didn't know what was going on. I watched the Kardashians and the Real Lives of Mormon Wives, and they all these beautiful white eyes, and suddenly it dawned on me, I was like, why are my eyes always red? I went all down the wormhole. And then eventually through the process of elimination, I realized my eyes were chronically burned. There is indeed too much of a good thing. So yes, I was just like us all being told morning sunlight, and I never wore any eye protection because I was under the idea of the more is better, and that's not always the case. And a friendly reminder for myself is my ancestry Irish and Scandinavian. What do both those have in common? No sunlight. Places a cloud. So how did my ancestors evolve? Pale skin, blonde hair, light eyes. So I can absorb vitamin D a lot easier. And that was like oh, yeah, the 10 minutes in the morning, you're probably good. Any longer, you don't need. Now, this is also, I'm going to step in and say, this isn't a blanket statement. I don't want you all to start suddenly being like scared of morning sunlight. Because just like I talked about how my lighter skin tone evolved over time because of being in cloudier, colder climates, those with darker skin tones, one reason you evolved that way is to protect yourself from the sun, and you actually need more sun exposure to get your vitamin D. So I also don't want to scare anyone, especially like my biggest fear is like if you have a very indoor life, you have a darker skin tone, you are really prone to have vitamin D deficiency. So talk to your doctor, talk to a dermatologist, make sure you have a sunlight plan that works for you, but it's not just so like black and white because suddenly burnt eyes. But for some of you, you might have to prioritize vitamin D, but I'm getting plenty of vitamin D. Habit number 2, Pilates. Simply, temporarily, to save money, because financial health is also a part of health and a healthy habit. And the reality is, yeah, I'd love to do reformer 2 to 4 times a week, but financially I can't, so I haven't done Pilates in 2 months, simply to save money. But I can do an at-home workout for free, Pilates, when I need to. Habit number 3, training upper body. No, this is just temporarily, simply because I'm doing marathon training, and the reality is for injury prevention and performance, training my legs is gonna be a way higher return versus upper body. Training upper body is so important for so many things. Pain reduction, posture, being able to hold your children when you're 80. But a reminder I had to tell myself is you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And marathon training took so much time, plus working, plus having a social life, plus doing everything else possible. Something had to go. And I realized, you know what, I only have about time for 2 to 3 weight sessions a week. I need to prioritize my lower body to keep me healthier during this marathon training. So in essence, I just did a few most bang for my bucks, a couple rows, overhead presses, compound movements for upper body, just maybe 2 times a week. Is it ideal? No, but it was temporarily because I just had to prioritize certain parts of my fitness. Habit number 4, intermittent fasting. According to professionals like Dr. Stacy Sims, intermittent fasting just doesn't seem to be as beneficial for women's hormones. The reality is there isn't as much research. Most of the research on intermittent fasting is done on men, and so we just don't have as much research for women, but a lot of research does seem to see the fasting just doesn't align with our hormones. And as someone who actually doesn't really enjoy eating right when I get up, I just make sure to eat something like a snack, like a pre-workout before I go. I just get some proteins and carbs in beforehand versus before. I could totally do it. I don't like to wake up, have coffee, and eat breakfast. I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on. I would accidentally eat dinner. Like, I'm not aware enough to even make breakfast. So now I just make sure to have a little something in. And some people do see great health benefits from intermittent fasting. Just realize a lot of the research hasn't been done on women. So it is something I no longer do. Habit number 3, 3 square meals a day. Now there's a little hierarchy. As I remember back in the day, we were told to have like 6 to 8 small meals a day to stoke your metabolism, which is false. The idea is when you eat food, your body burns calories just digesting the food because your body's working. So people thought the more you're eating, the more your metabolism is burning. But then they realized how much work your body does is more correlated to the quantity of food, not how often you're eating. So if you have 3 200-calorie meals versus 1 600-calorie meals, it's the 600 calories, not the 3 times, if that makes sense. So that was like the bodybuilding fitness world, I was told, and I really hated it. It just felt like I was never full after a meal. I would just eat a meal and instantly be thinking the next one. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have 3 square meals a day. And that's how I personally prefer to live. But you're like, Keltie, why did I quit this? If you don't have that intensive a workout program, you can probably get away with it fine. But as someone who's really prioritizing performance and doing something like a goal, like marathon training, I also had to add in a pre and post workout stack. In the past, I was kind of fine with just doing 3. It's not that deep, but you just figure out having a little something before and after my workout helped with recovery and energy, which resulted in better workouts. So it's less of I'm having 5 to 6 small meals a day, more so I'm having 3 full meals a day and 2 snacks. I guess, is that the difference? So I quit the 5 to 8 meals and the 3 square meals, and now this is where I'm currently on. So I quit those former meal frequencies, I guess. Habit number 6, eating high protein. Protein is great. It is a building block of our muscles, performance, so many things. There's so many health benefits. Someone who back in the fitness world was like protein, the foundation of everything. If you want more details, I'll put a link to, I did a whole video on protein, but pretty much I had to change my mindset that like protein is the best. Protein's great, but once you get the amount you need in a day, there's no real added benefits. So kind of the general census is about 1 gram per pound of body weight for those who really do more sports performance trying to build muscle. And for general population, it seems to be a bit more 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight seems to be more beneficial. So if you're in that range, you're more than plenty. I was definitely getting more than that because I was thinking protein's great, keeps you full, stokes your muscles, all these great things. And then I realized, well, if I'm getting all the benefits at 100 grams a day, let's say, what's the point of getting more when I could have swapped that to carbs that are full of macros, fiber, and fun? And so I stopped concentrating on just getting as much protein as humanly possible, and it's just like enough for me, and then focus more on carbs and fats, which, you know, nobody's mad about, and involves with eating high protein. Habit number 7, labeling my diet. In the past, I won't lie, there was like an honor in saying like, you know, if it fits your macros, I'm plant-based, clean girl, that girl, whatever. And whether it was to be cool or it was to sound the most scientific, because someone who comes from a science, went to university for science, I always do try and take a scientific approach to things. And sometimes it was definitely younger Keltie was like, yeah, I do if it fits your macros because I understand the science of nutrition. No, that was your ego talking. And you know what's the most boring thing to be identified as how you eat. And also it limits you. That being said, some people do have specific diets that they follow for moral and ethical reasons. And I think that's completely different. Like someone who goes vegan for the planet or animals, I think that's like a really admirable reason to label your diet. But like for me, I was just really doing it to stoke my own ego. So I could be like, yeah, I'm up on nutrition science. No, let's not have your identity be that, your ego. And now I just refuse to label it. It's just what I eat every day, and it changes, and I try and eat healthy and in a way I enjoy that fuels my body. Whatever you want to call that. Habit number 8, tracking macros. Speaking of if it's your macros, while I was bodybuilding, I'm really thankful I did if it fits your macros briefly because it did help educate me on nutrition. But you have to realize it's a tool to educate yourself on how to fuel, but it can be a slippery slope for some people. It can teach you how to properly fuel, but for others, it can be toxic. For me, once I was educated and no longer bodybuilding, I stopped and just ate mindfully, which is a term I've heard registered dietitians use instead of intuitive eating lately, because I love the idea of intuitive eating, but it is very hard. And I think we just kind of blatantly say like, intuitive eat, yay! And you're like, my body is craving Doritos. You're like, is it? And for me, for example, when I get nauseous, most people think, oh, food poisoning, don't eat. For me, nausea is usually an indication of low blood sugar. I actually need carbs or simple sugar. So that's why like that is a skill to learn and become intuitive with your body. And that's why I'm kind of thankful because tracking did help me teach what those cravings are and like align it. But like I said, some people open Pandora's box, they start tracking it and they can never like stop tracking, and it becomes like a pass or fail thing. And I think once you go into it as something you pass and fail, that's when it can be slippery versus something to just use as a tool to educate yourself. For example, I haven't tracked in years, but recently because I did marathon training, I did for a couple days just to realize even though I was eating so much, I still wasn't eating enough for this new kind of form of fitness I was doing. So I did it for a couple days just to educate myself. Yep, I'll need a couple more servings of carbs and fats to account for my extra energy expenditure, and I moved on for it. So it is a tool you can use, like a hammer. A hammer is a moral compass. It's a tool, but for some people, a hammer they could use to slam their knee. So you just have to be self-aware with tracking, and it's a tool that sometimes you need and sometimes you don't, and you really just have to ask yourself, what will it serve you, as they would say chronically online. So I quit tracking, and then I quit tracking to quit tracking again. Habit number 9, step goals. If you saw, recently I did a challenge where I did 30,000 steps a day to beat my family in a step challenge. And I think a step goal is great. I'm all team activity trackers, as long as you just think of like they're a fun way to gamify things, and it's not like this, like you feel guilty or bad at the end of the day, or they become a must. They're just something you can play, like Xbox. But as someone who does a lot of crazy challenges, I just want to say things like steps in that are a slippery slope. Fitness constantly is always telling us more is better. Work out more, go farther, lift heavier, which is great. But sometimes you forget you change the baseline. For example, one day your step goal is 5,000, which is great. You're easily doing it. And then one day you do 10. 10, easy, great. And for a lot of people, you're good there. You're like, that's fine. Yeah, it's kind of permanently 10,000. I'm in a good place. But some of you then realize, oh, I can consistently do 15 and then 20. Then suddenly out of nowhere, your goal is 50,000 steps a day and all you're doing is stepping, nothing else. So realize a big step goal can actually be hard to quit because you think that's the baseline, and then you realize you have so much other things to do in your life than just walk. So I don't want to discourage steps, but for example, after that 30,000 steps, I felt accomplished every day. I was beating my family, and then one day I just had to be like, stop, that's no longer the goal. Let's go back to our baseline. And so one thing I had to quit was a crazy high step goal, which was just a temporary 30-day thing to beat my family. Habit number 10, drinking a gallon of water a day. You may have heard 8 glasses of water a day. You might see fitness influencers carrying a gallon a day, those big jugs to drink. And actually one time I did a gallon a day water challenge, and I didn't feel that great. And then I calculated how much water I actually just naturally drink in a day, and it's more. This was a long time ago. This was like in 2020. Yeah, I think it was in 2020 I was doing it. And then I realized, oh, that's not enough for me. Regardless if that's true or now or how much I need, I don't even want to say how much I need because it depends on your body size. How much you're moving in a day. Are you in AC? Are you in a hot climate? Just know how much you need daily. There's so many variables. A good rule of thumb is you don't have to have clear pee. You just don't want to have dark yellow pee. If you just have like lightly tinted yellow pee, you're probably well hydrated. You can go get tests done. There's many of different things, but all those blanket things of like 8 glasses of water a day, a gallon of water, it means nothing. It means nothing because we're all living in different places and different body sizes and different energy expenditures. So for me, the gallon a day, which was this miracle thing online, I quit because that wasn't enough for me. And it is more than enough. Some days I only need 2 liters, and then some days I do crazy challenges like that Everest challenge, and I think I drank like 8 liters of water and still had yellow pee. It was crazy. That was crazy. But luckily during that challenge, even though I was drinking a ton of water, I wasn't just drinking water, I was also pounding back electrolytes because I was sweating so much. Like I was salt. You could see the salt on my clothes. It was hot out. We were hiking all day, but luckily I didn't have any electrolyte imbalances because I made sure to add to my water Element. My favorite electrolyte, of course, because of the science-based ratio of 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Yes, I could have included one of these, quit salt, but you've heard this 100 times on my channel of we're no longer anti-salt. I had bad calf cramps, I had these energy funks, but as soon as I've started adding electrolytes in every single day, for me personally, that's what works for me personally. Sometimes I need even more than 1 pack a day when I'm doing crazy challenges or marathon training or climbing the height of Everest. I add in even more. So it's really based on you. But if you're someone who is into fitness, working out, having an electrolyte supplement could be a great benefit because when you sweat, like I said, you sweat and see the salt sometimes. Like some people sweat so much, you'll actually see the salt on their clothes. Like I said, you'll taste the salt, and that's something you need to replenish. So you don't want to just be drinking in water. If you're sweating a ton, you also want to add in electrolytes. Element is great because it's trusted by professional athletes in the NBA, NFL, NHL, and also it tastes delicious. The citrus is so good. I also love the grapefruit, and then the chocolate, making some hot water. It's like a salted hot cocoa. Such a vibe when the weather's getting chilly and cozy. And of course, I'm not going to talk about it and not give you guys a deal. If you go to drinkelement.com/Keltie, you'll get one of their bestseller packets, which is a great way to try their most popular flavors like raspberry or citrus with your purchase. Once again, that's drinkelement.com/Keltie. Thank you, Element, for sponsoring this video. Habit number 11, eliminating refined carbs and sugar, which you kind of hear. And I remember hearing this too and thinking, oh, I shouldn't include as many of these in my diet. Those are more of just like a little treat I have. Now, they can be problematic for some people because the reality is, yes, refined carbs and sugar, you're not as much bang for your buck. So you're getting in calories with less micronutrients, less fiber, less protein to keep you full. So if someone's in weight loss, it's going to be harder when you're just living off refined carbs and sugar. But also at the same time, someone who is working out a lot and has a higher energy expenditure, getting it all from whole foods can be really hard and a lot on your digestion. For example, to eat 100 grams of carbs before you go on a run and try and get that in just rice or oatmeal can be a lot in the stomach. But if you just get it from some gels or sugar or some like white bread with honey, it's a lot easier and easier to digest. So none are evil. It's just kind of weighing the odds of what works for you and not being like, I have to eliminate refined carbs and sugar. And being like, no, sometimes you have it for fun and sometimes it can actually be a great benefit for your performance. Habit number 12, quitting diet pop. Now, I'm not saying it's good for you, but I did it as a whole challenge to see if it affected my bone density because people said it would affect your bone density. So I quit it for 6 months and it did absolutely nothing for my bone density. So I brought it back in. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just a reminder that any habits you remove or bring in have a way to test if it's actually beneficial for you or not. And for me, it was, let's see how harmful diet pop really is on my bone density. And I went and tested it and it didn't affect it. So now, yes, I still treat myself. Yes, I enjoy a daily Diet Coke. Come for me. But if you also decide you want to try a new supplement, figure out what benefit you want that supplement to give you. Find a way to track it when you take it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Or on the flip side, if you have all these supplements, all these skincare things, take something away every once in a while and see if you notice it when it's gone from your rotation to save yourself money. And yeah, those are just some like healthy habits that I've had to quit to improve my life or healthiness. And sometimes that's the thing, is sometimes you just cycle through healthy habits. Sometimes they serve you and sometimes they don't, like Pilates. I love Pilates, but right now it's not the most bang for my buck. Other times it is because I'm in a slow girl era, but it all depends on you and the eras you're in. But I'd love to hear down in the comments some healthy habits you guys have eliminated that have actually helped benefit you, and scroll down in the comments and check those out. And while you're scrolling down, feel free to, hit a like on your way down there. You're already down there, just a little boop, or subscribe if you're not. You're already scrolling down there. There's a little dopamine hit from clicking subscribe. Oh my God, you just did that. Thank you. Anyways, the most important healthy habit to never quit, of course, is petting dogs. So have a great day. Go pet a dog. Love you guys. Bye.